Did you know that there are investment accounts available to us here in Canada that are designed to help us create meaningful wealth? Let's break it down. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Reni. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. I really appreciate you for taking your time out of your busy day to watch this video. So in this video, we are going to break down investing accounts that are available to us in Canada. Honestly, my number one asked question is, what is a TFSA? What is a RRSP? What is a FHSA? I get so many of those questions every day. So in this video, we will break it down. The first thing that you need to know about these accounts is that they are called registered accounts. Registered accounts are the accounts that the Canadian government has given to us, and basically they allow us to have some kind of tax shelter. So an example of a registered account would be a TFSA, an RRSP, an FHSA, or an RESP. And I'll explain what those are in a bit. The reason that we have registered accounts is because the government of Canada literally taxes us on every single dollar that we make in Canada. So instead of charging us on every single dollar, they're like, okay, here, take a little bit of that money and put it in this account. And if you put it in that account, then we won't charge you taxes on it, or we'll charge you taxes at a later date, just not now. So that's kind of the first thing that you need to know about these accounts. So if there are registered accounts, that means there are also non-registered accounts. And those are accounts that if you do invest or save in those accounts, you will be taxed on any gain that you have. The second thing that you need to know about these accounts is that in all of these accounts, you can either invest or save. So as I mentioned, there are 4 different accounts that we're going to talk about. There's the TFSA, which is a tax-free savings account. There's the RRSP, which is the Registered Retirement Savings Plan. There is the RESP, which is a Registered Education Savings Plan. And then there is the FHSA, which is the First Home Savings Account. That was a mouthful, but one thing you probably noticed is that in each of those accounts, the name says savings. There's no mention of investing. First of all, I don't know why the government did that. You can ask them, but I just want you to know before we start the video that you can either save in this account or you can invest in an account. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can actually do both if you want to. And what this means is that you can either hold cash in this account, so you can just keep your cash there and park it there. But what I think you should do is that you should invest through these accounts. And when I say invest, that means you can buy GICs, which are guaranteed investment certificates. You can purchase stocks, you can purchase bonds, you can purchase exchange traded funds, and you can purchase index funds in these accounts. The only thing that you can't purchase in these accounts is crypto, and that's because I don't know, the government doesn't recognize it yet. So maybe one day you'll be able to purchase crypto, but as for now, you are only allowed to do what I mentioned above, and also some other things like mutual funds, which I'm not the biggest fan of. And I have a video all about that, and you can watch it up here if you would like to know why I'm not the biggest fan of mutual funds. The third thing that you need to know about these accounts is that the government just doesn't let us contribute an unlimited amount of money to these accounts. They're like, okay, we're giving you a little bit of your money that you can put here, but they can't allow an unlimited amount, because if they did, then millionaires and billionaires would just hide all of their money in these accounts. So for all of us, we have what is called a contribution limit. A contribution limit means that you have a certain limit that you are allowed to put into this account every single year. If you want to know what your contribution limit is right now, you can go on the MyCRA website. And this is a website that is run by the government of Canada. And essentially, they know exactly how much you have contributed to these accounts so far and how much contribution room you still have left. So they are the best place to see how much you currently are able to contribute in any of these accounts. And the reason it's so important to know what your contribution limit is because if you contribute more than is allowed, you actually are charged interest on your contributions, and they charge a lot of money. So to avoid that, just make sure that you check your contribution limits before you start investing or saving in any of these accounts. Now that you know a little bit more about these accounts in general, let's break each of them down. The first account that we have is the RRSP. This is the Registered Retirement Savings Plan. As it says in the name, you can kind of guess that this is an account that the government created for us for retirement. And basically what they want, or the idea of the account, is that you're going to put money into this account, and basically it is so that in your retirement, you don't have to rely on the government anymore. Instead of relying on the government or having to work until the day you pass away, they want you to have a comfortable retirement where you can basically put money in here and pull from this money at the time that you are no longer working. So that is kind of the overall idea of the RRSP. So here are some of the features of the RSP. The first feature is that it is tax deductible. So this means that when you put your money into this account, it actually lowers your taxable income. So let's say that you are making $70,000 this year. If you are making $70,000 and let's say you also put $10,000 into your RRSP this year, instead of you being taxed on a $70,000 salary, you're actually only going to be taxed on a $60,000 salary. Since most people have salary jobs or shift work where your taxes are already taken out of your paycheck before you even get it, that means that you will likely get a tax refund at the end of the year. So it lowers the amount of tax that you're paying on your income, and because you've already paid taxes on that income, you're going to get a tax refund at the end of the year. So what a lot of people do is they use their RRSP so that they can get a tax refund come tax time. If you are self-employed, you are likely not paying taxes throughout the entire year. So for you, it's probably even better to contribute to your RSP because it may not give you a tax refund, but it will lower the amount of taxes that you have to pay during tax time. The other feature is that when you take money out of the account, it is tax deferred. So this means that if you, again, let's say every year you're putting 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, let's say you are investing that money instead of just saving that money. And let's say you put $50,000 in the account in total, and let's say it grows to $70,000. You are not going to pay taxes while the money is still in the account, but once the money does leave the account, you are going to pay taxes on that. The idea is that you are not making as much money when you take it out. So you're supposed to take it out in retirement, right? So let's say you take it out in retirement. The idea is, okay, you're not making as much money. So this is basically the salary that you have. And that way you are going to pay taxes based on the marginal tax rate that you are at right now. Let me break that down if that was a bit confusing. So in Canada, we have a marginal tax rate system where you are taxed based on how much income you are currently making, and it goes in different bands. When you are contributing to your RSP, the idea is that you are at the peak income that you are currently making, and they don't want you to pay taxes at that point. But when you're retired, the idea is you're making either no income or very little income. So the money that you're withdrawing from your RRSP every year is your income, and that's what you will pay taxes on. So I hope that makes sense. Let's say you are now retired and you take out $50,000 of your RRSP 1 year. You are now going to be taxed on that whole $50,000 as if it is your income for the year. So the idea is basically that you're going to pay less taxes because you're making less money when you take out the money. One thing to know about the RSP is that you can actually take out money from it at any time that you want. So a lot of people think, oh, my money is locked in there, I can't take it out. But the reality is you actually can take out your money from a self-directed RRSP at any time, but you will incur taxes and you will pay taxes at that time. So there will be withdrawal taxes for the early withdrawal, and then you will also pay taxes based on your marginal income at the time. So if let's say you're making $100,000 and then you take out $20,000 from your RSP, you're gonna basically add $20,000 to your income that year and pay taxes on that. Now, there are actually 2 times when you can take money out of your RSP and not pay any taxes on it. So the first time is for your home purchase. It's called the home buyer's plan. And this is essentially when you want to purchase a home, you can use money, and under the home buyer's plan, you can take out money for that home purchase. The money that you can take out is about $35,000, and that's the maximum, and it is tax-free. However, it is a loan, okay? It is not money that you're just taking out and you never have to repay. You take out that $35,000, and then over the next 15 years, you actually have to repay that money back to your RRSP. So it's kind of like a loan. You're taking it from yourself, and it's interest-free. So yeah, you have to put back the money. The second time that you may take out your money from your RRSP without paying taxes is for the lifelong learning plan. This is basically if you want to go back to school and you need some money for that, and maybe you don't want to take out a traditional loan, you can take out money under the lifelong learning plan. This is $10,000 per year, up to a maximum of $20,000, and you can use that money for your education. However, remember that you do have to repay this money to the account as well, and this is over the span of 10 years that you have to repay the money. One thing to know about your contribution room is that your contribution room does not start until you start earning an income. So you will only get RRSP room when you have filed a tax return and you've said that you have declared a certain amount of taxable income. So that is when you will actually start to accrue contribution room, and your contribution room is equal to about 18% of your income, or another number that I'm not too sure of, but I will add on the screen. So you may be asking, when is the best time to contribute to my RSP? I would say the best time is typically when you are making a salary of over $70,000, because then it really starts to impact you, and the taxes you're paying at that rate are much higher. So a lot of people recommend that you start contributing when you are making about $70,000 or more. Or if your employer is going to match your contributions as one of the perks that they're giving you at work, please maximize those contributions and take every single dollar that they're gonna give you. This basically means they may say, okay, if you put in $100, we're gonna put in $50. That is basically a free 50% increase on your money. That where else are you gonna get that? So in that case, I would say take that money, okay? Take it, run with it, and take all the matches that your employer are gonna give you. So that is the RSP in a nutshell. Now let's move on to the TFSA. Next, we're gonna go on to the TFSA. The TFSA is the tax-free savings account, and this is one of my favorite accounts that we have available to us here in Canada. The reason is because there are really no limits on what you can use the money for. You can use it to buy a house, you can use it to pay for your wedding, you can use it to buy a car, go on vacation, literally whatever you want, you can use the money for. And I like that the government's not policing how we use our money, because they do pretty often. So I'm glad that they're not policing us in this case. So here's how it works. When you put money into the TFSA, there's no real tax benefit. You'll be contributing with your after-tax dollars, so there's no real tax benefit. But when you take money out, it is completely tax-free, which I love. So basically, let's say you invest, we'll use a similar example to before, where let's say you invest $20,000 and that $20,000 grows to $30,000. If this was outside of the TFSA, you would actually pay tax on that $10,000 and pay tax at whatever rate that would be. However, in your TFSA, it is tax sheltered, so that $10,000 grows completely tax-free. This is actually how I bought my first house, and basically I invested in stocks, they grew over time, and I took that money out and I had to pay zero taxes on it, which is an amazing perk. So I have a whole video if you want to learn about my house buying journey, and I will link it up here. But basically, again, one of my favorite accounts ever that we have. And a lot of people just save in their TFSA, but I think the real benefit and the real value that you can get is to invest through your TFSA. For the TFSA, your contribution room starts when you turn 18 years old. As long as you are a resident in Canada, you start accruing contribution room once you are 18 years old. So what this means is that you can go on the CRA website and look up how much your contribution room is right now. But this year they gave us an additional $7,000. So let's say you just came to Canada this year, you're over 18, you currently have $7,000 of contribution room that you can contribute to your TFSA. The great thing about the contribution room in the TFSA is that it is cumulative. So cumulative meaning that it grows every single year. So even if you didn't contribute for the past 5 years, you still have that contribution room that you can take advantage of. I think that the people who should use the TFSA are those who value flexibility and the ability to withdraw your money at any time, any place, for any reason. So I hear a lot of people telling me that they are not planning to stay in Canada long term. They want to leave this country as soon as they can, or once they get their passport. So maybe the TFSA is the right account for you because you can withdraw your money at any time. Now let's move on to the FHSA. The next account that we have is the FHSA. This is the First Home Savings Account, and this is an account that is the newest account of all the ones that I will mention in this video. The FHSA was started on April 1st, 2023, and this is basically the government saying, okay, I know y'all want to buy houses, y'all are complaining about how expensive they are. So here's a tax shelter so that you can put your down payment here and grow it tax-free. I think this is honestly a beautiful account. It is kind of like the baby between the TFSA and the RRSP. And if you put those together, you get the FHSA, and I love it. So when you put money into this account, it's actually tax deductible, just like the RRSP. So I won't explain that in detail, but same thing as the RRSP. When you put money in, it is tax deductible. But the difference with this one is that when you take money out of the account, it is tax-free. So if you put in $10,000, you grow it to $20,000, and you use that for your down payment, it is tax-free. Obviously, the caveat with this account is that the money must be used to purchase your first home, okay? And it must be a home that you are going to live in, not a home that you are going to rent out to somebody. The good thing is there are like some definitions on the CRA website of what a first home buyer is, which may be different from what all of us would consider a first home buyer. So for me, I own a home, but my home is in London, Ontario. I do not live in that home and I rent it out, and I've never lived there before. So technically, under this plan, I am a first home buyer because I've never lived in a home that I own. So that's something to consider. If you have an investment property but you do not have a principal residence, you could use the FHSA in order to save for your principal residence. Also, if you have owned a home and lived in it, but you haven't lived in it for the past 4 years, you're actually a first home buyer under this plan. So who should use this? People who should use the FHSA are those who are looking to purchase their first home. And one thing to note is that your contribution room for the FHSA does not start accruing until you actually open the account. So if you have never opened the account, you have $0 of contribution room in it. So that's one thing to know, that if you are looking to purchase within the next few years, you probably want to open this account and start contributing here versus in your high interest saving account or another account that you may have. Another thing to note about this that I did not mention is that there is a maximum of $40,000 that you can save in this account. A lot of houses are you need more than a $40,000 down payment. So although you can maximize your FHSA, you may need to put more money in another investment vehicle or savings vehicle if you truly want to purchase a home. I do have a detailed video about the FHSA on my YouTube channel, so click the link up here and you can watch that full video as well. Now let's get on to the last one, the RESP. The last account that we have is the RESP. This is the Registered Education Savings Plan. Similar to the RRSP, this is the government's way of saying, okay, I don't want you to rely on us or student loans or going into debt in order to go to school. And this is for your children, actually. So instead of that, you can put money in this account and we will give you a little benefit by putting your money into this account. So that is the kind of gist of the RESP. How it works is that if you have children and they have to be born, I get a lot of questions of people asking if they can use this for their unborn children. No, your child has to have a SIN number so that you can open this account. And basically in the lifetime of the RESP, you can put up to $50,000 for your child's education. And I honestly am so grateful that my parents decided to open this when we moved to Canada. They put money in this account and it allowed me to go to school and my sister to go to school, and we paid absolutely $0 and took $0 in student loans. So if you can do this for your kids, I think this is a great benefit. But I will say that I think you should also prioritize your retirement and the RESP. Don't neglect your retirement because you are putting money into the RESP, or else your kids will eventually start supporting you anyway. So try to have a balance between the two. For the RESP, you can open a family RESP, which means for all the kids you have, they have all the money in one account, or you can open separate ones for each child. One thing I will suggest avoiding is these group RESP programs, because honestly, I've heard a lot of problems about people trying to withdraw money out of group RRSPs. So choose either a self-directed RRSP. Choose a self-directed RRSP, in my opinion. So here are the features of the account. When you put money into this account, there is no real tax benefit for you. However, there is this grant that the government gives you. It's called the Canadian Education Savings Grant, or the CESG. So basically how the grant works is that you will put money into this account and the government will match your funds up to a maximum of 20% and up to a maximum of $500. So if you want to get the full match, you will put in the maximum of $2,500 per year for each child, and the government will put $500 a year for each child as well. So that is an easy way to get a free 20% gain on your money. And I think it is a great thing that you can do for your child if you can afford it, of course. And when you take money out of this account, it is tax deferred, and the taxes are actually going to be listed as your child's income for the year, or the amount that you withdraw is going to be listed as your child's income for the year. So they will pay taxes on it when withdrawn, but realistically, they're not going to be making enough to pay a lot of taxes, so they'll likely get a tax refund as well. A lot of people ask me, okay, but I'm scared. What if my child doesn't go to university or go to college or do some trade school? What happens in this situation? I always tell them, don't worry. If your child decides that they do not want to pursue higher education, it's okay. You can use this money and it will be transferred into your RRSP so you can use it for your retirement. So there's nothing really lost. The only thing is that, of course, that $500 that they were giving you every year, or the grant portion, will be taken from the account. Okay, lastly, when should you open this account? You should open this account if you have a child or there's a child in your life that you would like to contribute to their education once they do post-secondary education. I will caveat and say that I do want you to also prepare for your retirement alongside this so that you do not become a burden on the child that you were trying to help, okay? Okay, so those are the 4 main accounts that we have here in Canada that are the registered accounts that you can either invest in or you can save in, and to help you to truly build wealth. If you enjoyed this video, I want to know, let me know, okay? I really do take your feedback and it helps me to make better videos for you for next time. A like on this video will let me know that you like this video and that I should make more of them. And if you did like this video, just leave a comment down below letting me know that you did enjoy it. And let me know, which account would you open? I'm really curious to know which account you would open. That's all we have for this video. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye.